There are actually elements of what we call a pyramid scheme in Bitcoin.
There is no actual value being created by Bitcoin. You can only make the money that other people lose. That's the nature of a Ponzi or a pyramid.
I call it a Ponzi with no one in charge.
So Tom, is Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme?
It's a really good question. Short answer is no, but it has a lot of the characteristics of what you would find in a pyramid scheme or Ponzi scheme. So first of all, what is Bitcoin? It's a decentralized currency. No country, no man controls it. It's a completely open ledger. Everybody can look at it at any given moment. And that kind of sets it apart from what you would call a state-sponsored currency, right? However, Bitcoin has one thing that you literally have to understand that creates this perception of a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme. Why would you buy Bitcoin? Literally, you're only buying Bitcoin to enjoy the greater fool theory, right? You just expect at some point a greater fool will buy Bitcoin from you at a higher price. Unlike currency, you can buy shit with it, right? Currency is functional in the sense you could go to the store and buy food or drinks. Stocks, you actually own a piece of the company. You may vote. You have control over the company. You have control over whatever assets that company has. Bitcoin doesn't really give you control of anything, any asset. So in that sense, it's just 100% speculative, which is not the most healthy thing. However, neither is money. Money really doesn't really have a specific purpose other than to pay for shit. And if you look at Bitcoin this way, well, that's another form of money. You can kind of live with it. Why do I think that even though it's extremely speculative, it is extremely volatile? It can literally go to $150,000 tomorrow, back down to $25 the next day. It's extremely, extremely volatile to the point where you would say investing in Bitcoin is like, imagine a human being trying to smuggle drugs into Cuba, getting arrested, going to prison, then he gets broken out of prison, swims to shore, gets eaten by a shark, fights through the inside of the shark to come out, gets abducted, becomes a male prostitute somewhere in the third world, goes back home for 7 years as a billionaire because he made a killing on some investment. If you invest in Bitcoin, most likely over the course of the next 10 years, it's probably going to be worth more than it is today, just on the sole scarcity of Bitcoin. They don't print as much of it as you want. There's a small amount of Bitcoin and more people are buying it. More companies use it to hedge. More people are getting into it. Bitcoin is really strange. It's extremely speculative. It's very wild. Probably not a good investment for you. It's not going to behave like normal investments. However, nobody's getting ripped off. It's not like at some point somebody would say, well, haha, here's all my Bitcoin money, and you're just left with something. I mean, it's never going to happen because nobody owns Bitcoin. It's not like there's a Mr. Bitcoin. It's just a ledger. And it's completely outside of the security threats of people stealing your Bitcoin. The actual system itself isn't a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme. No.
So the obvious question there is, what stops somebody just making more of it? Because we're saying there's only X amount of Bitcoin available. Well, whoever invented or created that X amount of Bitcoin, couldn't they just go, oh, by the way, here's an extra 100,000 that we've created? Or
again, I'm not a cryptocurrency expert. I'm probably going to get the technicalities of it, not 100% right, but I'll tell you what the market effect is. Bitcoin is mined by having a computing power, right? You have a certain formula that whoever solves it first, whatever, I don't know, gets that Bitcoin, and there's a cycle every few minutes or hours. I don't remember how often that happens. It gets tougher and tougher as years go by to mine Bitcoin because you need more and more computing power to compete for the same amount of Bitcoin. As the actual mining process becomes more challenging, more people are getting into it. There isn't some button somewhere, some knob that somebody can twist and say, oh, let's give out more Bitcoins this year. It doesn't work this way. It's a mathematical formula. The competition is getting stronger and stronger. I don't know if you've seen the mining, what Bitcoin mining looks like these days. It's factories the size of a football field.
I've seen them in the desert with their solar panels keeping them cool, like facilities built and stuff like that. Crazy.
Here's the thing about Bitcoin, why I think the price will go up. Back in the day when Bitcoin was like 6,000 or 7,000, a lot of people did not even mine Bitcoin because in certain countries, the cost of electricity to mine Bitcoin was too expensive given the price.
Well, we had that. We've got crypto mining rigs and we didn't mine Bitcoin because it was too expensive.
Yeah, but now that Bitcoin is 60K or pushing 60K, now it makes sense. Now everybody has an incentive to mine Bitcoin, so the competition is even bigger, more scarcity. That's why it's going to go up eventually. Bitcoin is probably not going to replace state-sponsored currencies at no point. I don't think it's stable enough. It's here to stay. I don't think it's going away. About the other currencies, I'm not so sure. The further you go from Bitcoin to these other currencies, I don't even know half of them. Ethereum, Ripple, Dogecoin, whatever. It becomes more dicey. But if you're just talking about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is legit. you invest in Bitcoin, you're going into this loop of never knowing if you're an idiot or the smart person. And I specifically don't like to be in that situation. That's why I'm not a fan.
So Bitcoin is not a Ponzi scheme?
Not a Ponzi scheme, no.
A lot of you get in touch and ask me who do I trust and who would I look to for advice. I always say, find someone that's been there and done it. So in that regard, I'm pleased to be sponsored by Eddie Whittingham. It's someone I've known for a few years before he sold his business. He's now set up GoFounder. Say hello to proper, no-nonsense advice from people who've actually been there and done it. GoFounder, taking the bullshit out of starting a business. To find out more, click the link in the description below.